Hello, makers and planner friends. Today we're doing something a little different. A little how-to, let's add some visual interest to our planners and journals. Please do not be intimidated by any sort of, I'm gonna teach you hand lettering video proclamations, because this is low-key. This is easy. I'm just going to say it. It's not difficult. It's not, you need to be a calligrapher. It's not anything complex. I am just going to show you some very low level, basic things that I do in my planners and journals when I feel like it. Just to spruce it up a touch. Just give it a little visual impact. But first, I want to say I understand how often we, people, whatever, do not like their own handwriting. We don't like to hear our own voices. We don't like to see our handwriting. We don't think it's good enough. Whatever. I implore you, I beg you, please embrace it. Let me show you why. All right, let's get personal, shall we? There are people in your life, I'm assuming 99.9% of the time, that are going to someday, if not now, love seeing your handwriting. We are doing all of these planners and journals and things and hanging on to them as keepsakes. And for some of us, that is also something to be handed down to people in your life someday. And there is this feeling, this nostalgia, this sense of love that comes with seeing people's handwriting, especially perhaps after you have lost them. Y'all, you're gonna make me cry up in this. Woo! Okay, we got this. Let's do the non-morbid version, shall we? This is a card from my mom, and I get to see her handwriting. Yes, she and my sister sign everything from themselves and their dog. So this is my mom's handwriting. I save cards and things from them both here. This is my sister's handwriting, and I'm gonna have it for all the days. And someday, when my mom is gone, I'll be able to look at this and be like, don't cry, don't cry. Yeah, we're gonna move along, but you get what I mean. But now, the slightly more morbid version. I am the caretaker of my grandma's travel journals. She passed away when I was like 14. But I have these silly little travel journals that she kept whenever her and my grandpa took a little trip. They're just basic ass spiral steno style little notebooks. And they are among my legit prized possessions. Because that's my grandma's handwriting. And she would take little notes about the weather, about how much it cost to fill a tank of gas, the groceries they bought, rain, tornado warnings, stayed home, hot, 80 degrees. It's this kind of thing is magic. This is magic for me. So, the shorter version, the Cliff's Notes, please embrace your handwriting. Just get up on it and leave this legacy, these wonderful keepsakes for the people in your life. Because someday you'll make someone cry. Like I'm crying right now. And it will be wonderful. Okay, let's move on. This is ridiculous. Whew. All right, so I took this little freebie notebook from the Hobonichi, and I started to take some notes on some things. Basic handwriting, shall we? This is my basic handwriting. A lot can determine how it looks: pen, paper, and patience. So I do find between, say, these two pens, this one's quite thin and this one's thick. My handwriting will be different depending on the pen I'm using. Not just the thickness of it, but like the actual, is it a ballpoint? Is it a gel pen? Is it a freaking fountain pen? That's way different. It all makes a difference. So I would encourage you to play around with different types of pens, thicknesses of pens, how you hold the pen, and see like where's the sweet spot. What are you doing when you do like your handwriting a bit more? Because this can make a difference. The paper that you're writing on and how it meshes with the pen you're using, because maybe some won't absorb the ink fast enough, and that can make a difference on how that writing looks. And then, like, how big of a hurry are you in? Are you taking your time? For me, I have some nerve damage as part of my broken that you hear me reference. I have some nerve damage, and as I'm doing my basic handwriting, my hand will just suddenly go bow. That's why a lot of times I just take the time to do all caps, because I have more control over the small strokes of an all cap letter than I do over my actual handwriting. And I'm trying to come to terms with it. I'm trying to be like, stop caring, just write. It's not a big deal. I'm not there yet, but as I say here, sometimes I do all caps. I think it looks tidier, but it takes way longer. That is one of the reasons that I'm trying to shift back to my normal handwriting, but now it feels weird because like half of my Hobonichi's in all caps. And now what? I'm just gonna randomly one day start doing handwriting, cursive, whatever again. I know, not a big deal, but here we are. So you might try all caps. And then I took some notes here. You can combine all caps and script lettering to make it more visually interesting. You can also play with things like color to highlight key points. Then you know what a section is about without reading the whole thing. Who has time for that? So here you can see I tossed in on some more important words. I made them in script to make them stand out amongst the all caps. And then I just took tombos and highlighted key points. So as someday, you know, we're skimming the pages, maybe looking for a particular thing that we didn't bother to index, we can have some ways in which it might stand out about what that paragraph or that page is about. I also incorporate a lowercase lettering where each letter is the same X height. Nerd Kelly will explain. Hi, I'm Nerd Kelly. So let me take a minute to explain what X height is for those that aren't of the typographic nerd sect. Okay, X height, as it may suggest, is the height of the letter X within a font, a type, your handwriting. So X, E, letters like that are basically the same height within a font. N, probably A, R, you get it. They're the same height in your font. And then you have letters like H that extend higher, G that extend lower, Y, all of that. Those go lower. So I often play with a handwritten font, if you will, that they're all the same X height, basically. So you can see my T's are just as tall as my uppercase. It's not, but L. they're all the same height. And I think that's cute. I also I watched other people's handwriting and pulled out the things that I found cute or interesting or whatever, and I started to adopt them into this particular version of my handwriting. So just sort of Frankensteined it all together with my own sort of style, if you want to call it that, to create my own little font. So I don't naturally do an O with a loop-de-loop up top, but when I do this particular handwriting, I do. I may not naturally do my A like this. I probably naturally do it more like this. But when I do this, that's how I like the A's to be. And so that sort of thing, keep an eye on someone else's flair in their writing and see, okay, I really like that. I'm going to practice it. It's going to become more natural so that when I set out to do this lettering, it's more natural. Like if my brain says, okay, we're doing this lettering now, it just automatically, my O's end up looking like that without much thought, because that is something that I have practiced. All right, let's not be so nerdy, shall we? Just move forward. So my next little tip is to start getting creative. Some of us are not naturally inclined to think of different little ways to tweak lettering or doodle or whatever, and that's fine. But I would encourage you to play, experiment, and practice. These are just some like super quick, off the top of my head on a rando evening, ways in which I wrote Monday. So here are 2 ways that I filled in the empty spaces within letters. All caps, black and white, lowercase, color. Here I did a scripty script, but I drug it out. I made the letters kind of wider to extend it, make it more fragile looking, I guess, more dainty. Another all caps, but I made them tall and narrow and, words. Happy Sunday morning. I maybe made parts of it happen at the top of the letter versus sometimes lower than you would normally expect. I did that here too. The cups of the letters are happening up top. And I even did the cross stroke of the A and the E up high, which is not normally where we would set them within a letter. Here I did an uppercase, a lowercase, an uppercase, a small uppercase, a wonky A with a wonky Y. Like, I'm just playing. And sometimes you'll be playing and you come across a combination that you're like, huzzah, that is the one. I'm gonna keep doing that every time I write Monday from here to the end of time. And you don't find things like that unless you're just playing around and having fun. And that is numero uno tip. Have fun. This isn't serious business. Again, no one's gonna die if you wrote Monday and it looks like a 6-year-old had a hand in it. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. And someday you're gonna flip those pages and you're gonna be like, I remember when I was trying to be fancy and I failed, but I kind of like it now. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So now I'm gonna take a blank page and we're gonna putz around and I'm gonna show you some of the things that I do most often with my letters in my own planners and journals. So, cut to, segue, caveat. Let's talk about some writing instruments that I use most. Here we have, and these are relatively new to me. I never jumped on said bandwagon and got them until recently, and I do quite like them. I don't find them as waterproof as I would like them to be without having to wait for a very long time. And I don't often want to wait for a very long time. This is just a Muji gel pen in 0.38. I also have 0.5, but this is what I grabbed. I have been using this quite a lot for my basic list making, journaling, whatevers. I like it. I like it a lot, but I am not yet confident it is as waterproof as I would like it to be. Do what you will with that. This is just a uni Jetstream. It's the same as the multi pens you would get from Hobonichi. It's just a different body. It also has a pencil in it. I like it quite a lot. It doesn't, the ink is not as dark as I would like it to be. I really only use black. The ink is not as dark as I might want it to be a lot of the times, but I for sure can do this. If I'm journaling, and I decide I want to highlight key points, it's waterproof enough that I can do that. No issues thus far in trying to highlight a uni Jetstream ink. We have mild liners. I have this little caddy here. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. I have all these mild liners. I also have all these Tombow dual brush pens. I use both of those quite a lot. These are both Tombows. But again, if what you're highlighting, you need to have waterproof ink below it. So a good example of tried and true waterproof ink are the Pigma Microns. They come in various sizes and colors, actually. Not a vast array of colors, but there are some colored ones. But these are wonderful if you're going to want to do some highlighting over it, or if you're doodling and you want to color in your doodles, this is a good one to go with. And here is a Tombow. And then these are what I use most day to day, but this is not waterproof. Absolutely not. Anything I have tried to highlight with this will smear. It is, what is it? It's uni, it's, oh, daggone it. I think it's uni style fit or something. Uni Signo. Uniball Signo. Yes. This pen, oh, that's tiny. This is a uni style fit pen body. And I put in, which it comes with these. I didn't like concoct this myself. The uni Signo refills. I got this at Jet Pens, I think. I like how it writes. I have mostly the same color in it. I just have different sizes. So I have 0.5, 0.38, and 0.28. And then this is a brown 0.38. And this is a pencil. But you can choose what you want to put in it. You buy the body and then you pick all the refills to go in it. So there's a multitude of colors, a multitude of point sizes, and then you can also buy the mechanical pencil body, which I did, because I kind of like having pencils handy when there's an option to do so, like these two pens. And then the tried and true Tombow Furanosuke. It is a brush pen, and I will show you what I most often do with this little heavy hitter. It comes in 2-tip softnesses. I don't know words. This is the harder of the 2 tips. So you have a little more control when you are using it. It's the blue body. The green body is a softer tip, and when you push down, it really gives. Whereas this one, when you push down, there's a little resistance, so it's easier to control, in my opinion. But you have to wait for it to dry, because the other day I was using it and I wanted to highlight and I got all schmear because I didn't wait quite long enough. But then the other word on the same page that I went to highlight later was fine. So you need to wait a bit and let all the juicy dry as you go to highlight. Let's do some letters, shall we? I'm going to take this little Tombow dual brush pen right here. It is color 026 for those that care to know. One thing that I do quite often is just some chunky block letter type joints. Now you'll see me skipping my cross strokes because I want to try to have them be just as thick as the downstrokes. And if I just do this, that's not happening. So H, E, L, L, O. And I'm just, you know what? I am not taking all day on this. I wouldn't in my journal. So let's just get down with this and get her done, shall we? I also will, this is 192. I will also sometimes do it in script. Boop. We'll get to phase 2 of this in a second. But, well, actually, I lied. We're going to do it right now. All right, you see everybody doing the wonderful brush lettering with their brush pens, and it's so beautiful and hard. It's very hard. Us lefties are also at a disadvantage when it comes to trying to do brush lettering for an array of reasons. One of those reasons being most of the letters that you go to write push against the bristles of your brush pens, and that makes it more difficult. So there is a technique out there. This is not mine. I didn't make this up. It's everywhere. It's all over the interwebs, and I've mentioned it several times in other video things. What you do to create faux brush lettering, thicken the downstrokes. So if we all have learned handwriting in the same sort of sphere of influence, we tend to do cursive the same way. Our letterings taught similarly, unless you're my brother, who, I swear to God, you guys, we went through the same school system, learned from similar people. We write A's like this. Do we not write a letter D like this? Not my brother. I could watch him write for hours because he does nonsense like this. Who does that? So, of course, his downstroke, well, it's wrong. Okay? It's just wrong. So you want to thicken the downstrokes. This would have been a downstroke. I'm going to thicken that. This was a downstroke. Booyah. Thicken them a bit. And you have what resembles some brush lettering. If you want to do normal brush lettering, then you would do the thickening. I suck at it. Okay, can we just? So you would go lightly, just using the tip up, and then as you come around and go down, press harder, lighten, press harder. I'm very slow at it and ain't got the time, y'all. I ain't got the time. So I do faux. All right, so now here is my biggest little tip. I didn't practice this. I did not write a script. We're just having fun. Here's the tip for block lettering, brush letter, whatevers. This is what I love to do when I do these kind of letters, because it just kind of brings it all home. Because sure, I drew some letters and they're lovely, I guess, but they're just letters, and I want to make them look like intentional, more artistic, doodled, fanciful. Like, let's just level them up a notch, shall we? What I do, and it's easy peasy, is I take a black pen, usually. It depends, like maybe there's an accent color that would look better, but I generally just take your average, ordinary black pen and I outline. I just outline. Let's just outline this one first, shall we? I'm trying to make sure I'm not like in the way. I guess I could have moved my camera angle, but here we are. We're in it now, guys. We're outlining. And we're outlining. And sometimes this gives you an opportunity to fix, oops, a mistake. Or make one, apparently. Because let's say my pen got a little unruly and it closed this entirely. Like there's no white gap, but you can create it. You can make it bigger. And it's not going to be that noticeable. And if anybody's looking at your journals with that kind of eye, tell them to F off. Get out of my journals, bro. It's not for you, obviously. But have fun outside of telling people to F off. All right, so now I've got this almost artistic bit of lettering happening up in here. You can also play around with how you outline it. So sometimes I'll go around it twice, wonkily, like intentionally offset from the first line, or wobbly just to give it some more character. Another thing that I will do is do this little illustrative gap with a dot and just place some of those playfully around my letters. And even if I have multiple H's, for instance, I won't necessarily put these in the same spot. I try not to do it like, here's a gap with a dot. I probably won't put one right here. I will stagger it just for more visual interest. Popping it around. I may only give it one, or I might skip a letter entirely and not do it on one. Come on, pen. So let's say I just want to do it on this side. Here, I'll do it down lower. My light is shifting outside, not cool. Maybe I do one on the inside here. And then up top over here. And now they look a little more playful than if it had been a solid line. You'll see. All right. Now this faux brush lettering thing. It works just the same for, let's say that I wanted this to stand out even more. Here's my Furanosuke pen. So let's say, yes, this stands out wonderfully, and I can quickly, scan to that visually in my writing and be like, ooh, this is where I talked about whatever. But I can also do that faux brush lettering stuff and thicken the downstrokes. Hello. And now it stands out even more. The other thing, I think this is going to be the last little bit I touch on today, is I use this same brush pen like this on my all caps. So let's do it up here. So I've done my all caps. Now generally, I will take the left side of a letter and thicken it. It tends to work out better than the right hand side. So because for letters like R, that starts to get weird, right? And just if I wanted to thicken the right hand side of a G, that's weird. So I tend to do the left hand side except for like a letter like T. I just thicken that middle stroke. So let's look. And you'll start to get a handle on how to control the brush pen. So like as I do this S, I do very light at this curve here, and then I press harder to come around and then lighten again as I want to make a clean break from that curve of the S. But when I'm in a hurry, anything goes, man. It might look like an absolute train wreck, and that's all right. So again, I'll probably be lighter at the top, push harder, and then lighten as I want to have a clean ending on that G. And also how I hold the pen when I do this makes a difference. Because if I come at it from this side, it's going to be, it may not hit that T cleanly. You'll get it. Just play. Just have a play. So there. I do this often for like headings. But if I want it to be a really impactful heading, it'll be more like this. Anyways, that is my very basic beginner tips and tricks on how you can add more visual interest to your handwriting, your lettering within your planners and journals. I hope that you found it helpful. I know sometimes we can get down in the muck and the monotony of journaling every day, and these are just some ideas for you to make it a touch more playful. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate each and every one of you that have joined me recently, and you OGs, you have a special place in my heart. I will get back with you again in about a week, I suppose. Maybe, I don't know if it'll be a how-to, but it could be a flip through. It could be my Sterling ink order. 3rd release was this morning. Are we through it? Are we through the hubbub of the bigger planner releases? Can we breathe now? I feel like I can breathe now. Okay, I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna go breathe and catch up in my Hobonichi 5-year a little bit. Okay. Thank you. I love you all. Hope to pop a video in front of your faces soon. Until then, please go out and make some wonderful memories worth keeping, and then write about them in your own handwriting. Please and thank you. Bye.